1996, I'm 13 years old. In middle school, kids called me fag, and now I'm at this all-girls high school, and I can't stop having crushes on my classmates. Two of the seniors have started a gay-straight alliance, and they might be together, I'm not sure. I talked to one of them one morning outside the cafeteria, and her smile is so beautiful, I write a poem about it afterwards. I spend a lot of time in the library when nobody's around, reading every book in the HQ section without ever checking out a single one. And that's how I first started to learn about the history I'm going to share with you today about mid-20th century working class butches and femmes who are the forgotten vanguard of lesbian visibility. Did you know that there were lesbian bars in cities throughout the United States, some of them as early as the 1930s? In some cities, there were segregated black and white bars. In others, women of color socialized more at house parties. And all of these women were trailblazers of gay liberation, decades before Stonewall. When I first started to go out to the bars, we had to fight to get in places. Not the cops so much, regular people, straight people. You'd hear some place was having a bad time, maybe they'd let gay girls in, for the money. So a few gals would go, and if they had a good time and didn't get hassled too bad, a few more would go, so on. There were fights though. Men who say they won't hit a woman, they'll hit a butch all right, just for walking in the door of a place. They'll hit a femme too if it comes to it. Yeah, butches tried to protect us. Femmes wouldn't be the first ones to go into a new place, and if there were a bunch of tough guys hanging around outside, they'd get in between you and them. Back then, you didn't have to worry as much about the cops. Nowadays, you got so many bars you could go to a different one every night of the week. But you gotta wonder, are the owners paying the cops off regular and on time? Because if not, bar gets raided, you get arrested, get your picture in the paper, you're in a world of trouble. Years later, I'm aggressively out to everyone I know, and doing an internship at the Connecticut Civil Liberties Union, where I'm helping organizers who are working on passing a second parent adoption bill. It's so cool to be around queer adults, and they joke around with me, make fun of my long hair and my dresses and my complete lack of interest in golf. But I know you don't have to be super masculine to be gay. Those are just stereotypes. I'm also writing my junior year term paper, and I go to the archives at UConn where I find this book, We Walk Alone Through Lesbos' Lonely Groves. This is the real title, and it's nonfiction, published in 1955, written by a lesbian woman for a street audience. And this is what she has to say about femmes.
The femme often is simply a carbon copy of the kind of woman she would be if she were a heterosexual. The best way to describe a femme is to say that she seems always to be on the verge of something. A butch is an expensive dependent, and the femme often talks about the break she is on the verge of getting, which will provide her and her lover with those luxuries for which they dare to hope. The femme is on the verge of femininity. She, too, is a caricature. This time, a caricature of womanliness. Her perfume is a little too heavy. Her hats are a little too zany. Her makeup is overdone. Her walk exaggerated. Her speech affected. Her effort to be a feminine being is too concentrated. While she is attracted to the girl who can look more mannish than any other, she is repelled by men. Femmes try hard to look, act, and be ladies, but they never quite succeed.
A carbon copy of the kind of woman she would be if she were heterosexual? It can't be right. Think of the courage it took to find this community, to walk into one of these bars. Her perspective, her way of moving through the world would be completely different than if she were straight. No matter what she looked like. There are butches and femmes in these books who say femmes weren't really gay. They weren't committed to the life. They could fly under the radar. And butches were in a lot of danger out in the world by themselves, but if you saw a femme and a butch walking down the street hand in hand, wouldn't you know who they were and why they were together? Zany, exaggerated, affected, it's so misogynist. Well, one time I was dancing with this tall, handsome girl, and she was heads above me. I looked up at her, and she looked down at me, and she said, "What are you here for, sweetheart? Just to see how the other half lives?" And I said, "Why no, I'm just as gay as you are." And we both laughed, because I wasn't mad about it. I was just surprised. It never occurred to me I should dress any differently. And nobody wanted me to, because back then, just like now, all the gay girls down there wanted a girl who looked like a girl. I have stepped on her toes. Or I'd like to think I would have. So if all the gay girls down there wanted a girl who looked like a girl, well, why don't we know more about their stories? If there's butches around, there's got to be femmes, says one interview subject. But all the old femmes, they say, turned into butches eventually, or got married to men. Where are all the old femmes? They keep asking. So I did find this, the Persistent Desire, edited by writer and activist Jo Nessel. She was in these bars Anne Aldrich talks about in Greenwich Village in the 1950s. Butch-femme relationships were complex, erotic, and social statements, not phony heterosexual replicas.
They were filled with a deeply lesbian language of stance, dress, gesture, love, courage, and autonomy. Butch femme was both a conspicuous flag of rebellion and a symbol of women's erotic autonomy, a sexual accomplishment that did not include men. When we walked down the street holding hands, we knew we were courting violence, but we also knew the political implications of how we were courting each other and chose not to sacrifice our needs to their anger.
When they hired me, the owners here said to give the butches something to look at. They look all right. Some of them are single, but the ones who got a girl at home, they leave her alone to do what? Set her hair and listen to the radio while they're out having a good time? It makes me mad. And I hear things. Hear them talk about how dumb femmes are. All our brains are in our, you know, as if they don't have the same parts as you and me. They hate it, you know? They hate it in themselves and they want it in you. Maybe that's why they act the way they do. It's like me trying to be butch. Now you know I like to wear slacks, but I'm a femme. I tried it, got all dressed up with a tie one time, went to the bar with my friends. Let me tell you, I've never felt so embarrassed or uncomfortable in my entire life. All I wanted to do was run home and curl my hair and put some makeup on. And I think for them it's like that every day, if they try to act more womanly.
Femmes were deeply cherished, and yet devalued as well. We were not always trusted, and often seen as the more flighty members of the lesbian community.
Where are all the old femmes? Does this idea that femmes weren't really gay become a self-fulfilling prophecy eventually? Does it occur to anybody that the trauma of being gay at this time, combined with being belittled, abused even in their own communities, would lead some women away from gay life? That some of them might have married men out of desperation or fear, but some of them were bisexual. Maybe their gender shifted. Maybe femme wasn't ever really right for them. Maybe they did decide to put on a facade of butchness, like armor.
I was a femme, a woman who loved and wanted to nurture the butch strength in other women. I can spot a butch 30 feet away and still feel the thrill of her power. Contrary to belief, this power is not wrought at the expense of the femme's identity.
She wanted. I felt like her wife, without any of the benefits. Our biggest fight, I'd tell her, I did not leave my parents' house and go to the bar so she could talk to me the way my father talked to my mother. No! I did not go through all that to be treated that way. And then she'd make up to me and be so sweet, and I'd think, it's just hard for them. We femmes are allowed to cry and fuss and carry on, and they think they're not allowed to as much as they might want to. And they think they always have to be the strong one. You wouldn't think it, because you know me now, but I tried to give it up once. I had a rough breakup. I told myself, this is it. I've had enough. She is the last one, and I'm going to go be with a man now. The way my mother, the church, the way everyone said it should be. I was young and scared, and I thought, who am I to go against the whole world? And besides, when I was with a woman and I was cooking and cleaning and bringing home the paycheck, was it that different from a man now? So I swore I would be good. I would not set foot in a gay girl's bar again. Every week the same. Work, 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 work. Saturday night dances with my sisters at the hall, Sunday, mass, and supper. But I wake up in the middle of the night, sweaty. Spend the rest of the day trying not to think about it. I guess I just thought maybe I was different from some of these gals. Maybe I could go the easier way and be just as happy. I was wrong, clearly.
I was very caught up in emotional emotional gratitude to women that I made love to, that lived with me. I would find a butch living in some dingy place not taking care of herself. My desire was to take her home, feed her, love her, reward her for being the freak on the street. I was always moved by the contrast of flagrant courage and obvious need for tending.
Well, we femmes can get up and go any place without them. I mean, with straight people. And no one does any different. The minute you bring a butch in the same situation, the whole thing changes. Right away I feel protective. As much as I know I could count on her in a physical confrontation, I also know I'm a wall between her and straight society, because I know how much straight society can hurt her, just with words or looks. I feel very defensive whenever I go into any kind of straight environment. She has to fight so hard to be who she is. And she makes who I am someone who's loved and cared for in this world. So I'll fight for us both. So I'll fight for us both. It took a lot longer in real life to figure all this out, to untangle the threads of misogyny in the world and in my community, to appreciate that there was a time when femmes were the center of lesbian life, to understand the looking and seeing how my partners drew out my femme, and it was also always my own. Some of what this teenage me talks about, I didn't really figure out for another decade. For years, I bought the most ridiculous things in thrift stores, made headbands out of trash-picked t-shirts, hoarded a closet full of hats and purses handed down from mine and other people's grandmas. I was creating a collection of things I wasn't brave enough to wear to a bar full of dykes in jeans. And those things aren't what makes a femme, but they represented the slow, painful creation of what my femme could be. Eventually, I did wear them. Do these femme stories still matter? I think they do, especially when I look around and see how far we've come without coming very far at all, how the far right uses homemaking and femininity to draw us in on social media, how not gender-neutral clothing lines keep coming up with the same boxy silhouettes, how the lesbian community can still be so profoundly screwed up about trans women and femininity. Were femmes gay? I think they were, because they showed up night after night, week after week, to bars and parties, because their love for women, for butches, for queer women, was stronger than homophobia, stronger than patriarchy. And what could be gayer than that?